Whether the team is performing clean or unsightly, we'll cover it all here on Washington Football Nightly. I, of course, am your host, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Let's get to tonight's lead story. So, I'm dressed in all black like the Omen, which means we took one on the chin, and it was a brutal one. 43-21 shellacking at the hands of the Buffalo Bills. It was not fun. It was not a game that ever really felt that competitive, despite Washington cutting the Bills' deficit, or lead, I should say, to a 7-point deficit at one point, 21-14. That would be the last time Washington would be remotely close in the ball game, and the Bills would take back over from there and run away and hide. Lots of mistakes, lots of opportunities missed in the game by Washington. And when you're playing against a team that's simply flat out better than you, you can't afford to do those things. So now Washington sits at 1-2. And now we will go through our keys to the game from Sunday's game and talk about whether we were able to take care of business in those departments or not. And you already know the answer to this, but we'll go through it anyway. And we'll start on the offensive side of the football against the Buffalo Bills defense. And the first key to the game was to spread the Bills out and protect the Duke. And I actually gave them half credit for this because I thought they did spread the Bills out. And they did give themselves opportunities to run the football. The very first play of the game was a run to J.D. McKissic where we spread them out, handed it to McKissic, and he got about a 7-yard gain. The unfortunate thing was the next two plays were passes, if I'm not mistaken, including one where, Taylor Hanecke escapes the pocket, finds a wide open Terry McLaurin, big gain, off and running. You feel good. You're not going 3 and out for the first time. And obviously the Bills have already scored on their opening possession, so you're down 7-0. So you would really like to respond with a score of your own. And of course, you get an OPI on J.D. McKissic. Did I love the call? No. But did I understand the call? Sure. J.D. didn't have to touch the linebacker. That linebacker was flat-footed. He was never going to keep up with Terry. And all he had to do was literally just kind of stand there and make that linebacker have to go around him. J.D. literally looked like he was trying to set a pick. And he went out of his way to go seek out the linebacker. And it was just poorly executed on the part of J.D. McKissic. Did I love the call? I've seen much more egregious plays. They could have allowed that, but I get the flag, and I don't have a problem with it because J.D. McKissic has to do a better job of selling that. That said, it destroyed that entire drive. After that penalty, you're now in a 3rd and 13 after being in a 3rd and 3. You end up having to punt the football, and the rest is history. So I thought we did spread them out quite a bit throughout the game, but we didn't protect the Duke. We didn't protect the Duke. And we didn't have that much success running the football. At least not Antonio Gibson. McKissic had 3 carries, and all of them were fruitful carries. I think he ended up having 3 carries for 23 yards, so damn near 8 a pop for J.D. McKissic in the game. I thought he needed more touches in the run game. He was really good, but not so much for Antonio Gibson, who had 12 carries for 31 yards, so he barely had over 2 yards a pop. So it was a struggle in the run game for us, but at the end of the day, I didn't expect the run game to carry the day for us. The biggest thing was spread them out. They are a little bit, I thought, compromised in the secondary with some injuries and some guys that were nursing some injuries. And I thought that was the way to attack them. But we didn't protect the football. So that was the frustrating part. We didn't protect the football. And you can't win on the road against a team that's better than you if you want to turn it over. It's hard to beat any team in this league, let alone a team that's already better than you and at home in a tough environment to go win a ball game. It's a recipe for disaster, and we shot ourselves in the foot way too often to expect anything but a straight, unadulterated ass whooping when you do the things that we did. You turn it over 3 times in the ball game, and you don't generate any turnovers. We did get the football once, but that's not technically classified as a turnover. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But you turn it over 3 times, you don't get any back, you're asking for an ass whooping. And that's exactly what we got. Change the launch point. I keep talking about the athleticism that Taylor Hanecke possesses. and how we need to take advantage of that. Yet, I haven't seen one bootleg since the Chargers game when he first came in. Haven't seen one boot. Haven't seen one play where we sprint action, sprint out. Nothing. I've seen nothing getting Hanecke out on the move and using his athleticism to change the launch point. Everything is gun. Everything is, right in the pocket. They know where to find him. Again, I don't love everything that is being done offensively. I'm not as harsh as a lot of you are out there. We need to get rid of Scott Turner. He stinks, this, that, and the third. I do think there are more things that we can do offensively, and I'm going to reserve judgment on this entire offense and in its entirety until we get Curtis Samuel back, because he's such a big part of what they ultimately want to do. I still think that without Samuel out there, we really don't have another true weapon to take pressure off of Terry. And that's why it was imperative that we got Samuel or some receiver in free agency, because the other guys that we added, Diami's not ready yet. He may ultimately be one hell of a number 2 wide receiver. He's not ready to be that guy yet. And I told you that when we got him. I didn't want to force him into that role, sort of like what we did last year with AGG, kind of forcing him into a role of, we need your production. You have to perform. You're asking a guy to come in and hit the ground running immediately and contribute in a major way. And that's so tough to ask of a rookie. So I didn't want to put him in that position. I wanted, Diami to be like the 4th option. Whatever production we get from him is great. It's warranted. You want it. You don't need it, though. You want to have it, but you don't need it. That's what I wanted Diami's production. Right now, we need Diami's production. And that's a bad place to be in. So Curtis Samuel returning to the lineup, never, ever trust a man with 2 first names, is going to be huge, because that will properly slot all the rest of our receivers. We got a number 1, and generally everyone's not properly slotted when you don't have a number 1. Then you have a number 2 posing as a 1, a 3 posing as a 2, so forth and so forth. Well, we've got a number 1 in Terry McLaurin, and he posts every single week, so we don't worry about 17. The problem is there's no number 2. There's no true definitive number 2, which was the problem last year. So now you got Cam Sims posing as a 2 last year. He's really a 3rd or 4th option. And, you just go down the line there. This year, we still don't have a number 2 because Curtis Samuel hasn't been in the lineup. So now you're asking Dyami Brown to be a number 2 wide receiver. He's probably a number 3 at best at this point, probably more like a number 4. He's not ready to contribute in a major role right now. Then you're bringing Adam Humphries in. He's a number 3 right now. You're asking him to perform. He's probably best served as a number 4 option, honestly. He's no Hunter Winfrow, you know what I mean? He's a basic standard slot guy. He doesn't change the game for me. At this point, I'm going to be honest with you. Hump is cool. I'd rather see Dax Milne get an opportunity, to be honest with you. If we're really doing this whole Ron's plan thing and you're trying to, get the young guys up to speed, let's get Dax Milne out there, man. Gives you a little bit more size. I don't think he's as quick as Hump, but he gives you a little bit more size. And in these situations that we seem to find ourselves in with Taylor Hanecke, extending plays and things of that nature, it seems like height may be a little bit better than, a guy with some quicks. And I'm not seeing him, win with quicks anyway. There was a play over the middle of the field on the 3rd down where Adam Humphries runs right into the linebacker and then tries to turn and pivot. Why run to the linebacker? Why not stop a yard away from him and turn and pivot so you create separation? Again, all I'm saying is we need Curtis Samuel. This offense is hard to really gauge because you've got guys trying to do things that they shouldn't be asked to do at this current juncture. So I said all of that to say this. We didn't change the launch point. Okay, I went off on a tangent. We didn't change the launch point. And Scott Turner, I feel like, can do some other things. And Ron talked about this in his presser, and we'll elaborate on that in other news later on in the show. But he said, we as coaches have to put the players in positions to succeed. That's what I mentioned yesterday on Overtime, that these coaches have to be held accountable. And it was good to hear Ron do that. And we'll talk about that later on. But I think Scott Turner has to do a better job of putting guys in positions to succeed. And that not only are the receivers, running backs, things of that nature, but the quarterback as well. Taylor Hanecke is not a big guy, okay? So using his athleticism to his advantage is, to me, one of the things you should be doing on a consistent basis. You should be moving the pocket. You should be using his athleticism. Does Taylor Hanecke throw well on the run? That's something that I don't know 1,000%. And so maybe they know and they've seen in practice that he's a little erratic on the move. And so maybe him throwing on the move isn't something they really want him doing. If that's the case, totally understand it. And then just forget about what I've been talking about for the last 5 minutes. But if that is not the case, then his athleticism, his legs are a big attribute. They are a big positive. You should be using that and implementing that in the offense and moving the pocket and giving the defense something else to defend. But they didn't do that in this game, so obviously they don't get any credit for that. As we go to the next key to the game offensively, take and make vertical shots. I don't know if we took any vertical shots that were within reason. Everything that we did vertically looked like it was a force, like it was just a shot down the field to say, hey, we'll throw it deep. Don't sit on these underneath routes. We'll throw it deep. I think there was one to Diami. Every time we throw to Diami deep, he's never open. He's always double covered. And we threw it to Terry, I believe, down the field, and he looked like he was double covered, and he was not open. So none of the vertical shots were of real significance. None of them I thought were in the rhythm of the game, in the flow of the game. I talked about wanting to sell hard play action fake. You have to get under center to be able to do that, though, and we don't do that enough. So I find it hard to believe that we're going to be a great shot opportunity team unless Curtis Samuel comes back and it opens things up. And now the defense can't just key in on Terry, and you start to get a lot of speed on the field with Diami, Curtis, and Terry all at the same time. Maybe that will start to open some things up, and you'll have some shot opportunities. But I find it hard to believe that with the way we run our offense and how most of it comes out of the gun, it's hard for a team to really respect play action fake when you don't turn your back to the defense, when you're in the gun. It's easy for the defense to see what the hell's going on, whether you're giving the ball away or not. And so that's something I struggle with right now. I'm not the biggest fan of just a lot of the offense coming primarily out of the gun. I'm not the biggest fan of that, but that's what it is. So I'm not going to sit here and complain over something that I know isn't going to change. But we didn't take nor make any real vertical shots in this game. And again, hard to get teams to respect vertical shots and opportunities when you haven't really hit any to this point in the season, and your offense isn't really built to, set that up to make the defense suck up to respect it. So that may be something I just have to deal with. Take advantage of opportunities. This was the biggest, the second biggest key offensively to the game. And we were absolutely terrible in this department here. I just was really frustrated with our inability to take advantage of opportunities throughout this game. I just mentioned the great play call from Scott Turner on the first third down of the game, and J.D. McKissic decides he wants to actually turn into a basketball player and set a full-fledged screen instead of just getting in the way, which is all he needed to do. He didn't even need to touch that linebacker. That linebacker was flat-footed, and he wasn't going to impact that play at all. Terry was going to run by him just like he ultimately did and come open and make a play. And J.D. McKissic really didn't do a great job of selling that, that pick. So that's frustrating. That's a missed opportunity to convert the first third down of the game, to set the tone, and to give yourself a chance to call another 3 plays to see if you can't get a drive going and maybe respond to what the Bills have done on their first possession, which is score a touchdown. That's a missed opportunity. When you look at the screen, touchdown, the ensuing kickoff, beautifully executed by Dustin Hopkins. We get the ball back, touchdown. The defense actually gets one of the few stops that they got in the game, and you don't take advantage of it. You go 3 and out and give it right back to Buffalo. take advantage of that opportunity. The momentum was on our side. How about the defense? Again, they didn't get many stops. I understand. But it's 7-0. Bills are driving. They decide to go for it on fourth down. Jamin Davis makes a hell of a play, gives us tremendous field position. Here I am crying about we don't ever have great field position. The defense doesn't force turnovers. They don't get off the field and force short fields. So every time the offense has to start a drive, it's inside their own 20 or it's at the 25 after a touchback. And so they got to go the length of the field. Well, Jamin Davis makes a stop. The Bills were going into the wind. We get the football at around the 31, maybe the 33, something like that after the great play by Jamin Davis. You got tremendous field position. Take advantage. What do? We give it right back to the Bills with a turnover. And that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about. You get a big play to Logan Thomas. Great throw by Taylor Hanecke. Great decision. Awesome effort. You get an A for effort if you're Logan Thomas. You get an E for security, because that ball was poked. That's a great play by their cornerback, Tre'Davious White, to come and poke that football free with the punch. But you got to protect the Duke. That was rule number one. That was key number one. Protect the Duke, and we didn't do that there. That's another missed opportunity. You have to take advantage of opportunities when you get them, and we did not do that in this game at all whatsoever. And that's frustrating, man. It really, truly is, because who knows what happens if you don't have the pick, the OPI called on the first possession. Who knows what happens if Logan Thomas doesn't fumble on that second possession of the game after the Jamin Davis stop that gave us a little bit of momentum. Who knows what happens in those situations? What happens if you actually take that momentum gained from 14 unanswered points and actually put together a drive that, because we were getting towards halftime at that point, what's to say that you don't put together a drive, tie the game up? We get ball after half to start the second half. You tie the game at 21. Who's to say we don't score 28 unanswered points? Who's to say we don't score 24 unanswered with a field goal and take the lead? It's a totally different ball game. You have to take advantage of opportunities. I didn't think we did that in this game. And when you let those opportunities slip through your fingers, generally you get beat when you're playing a team that is better than you are. And that's what happened. Start fast was the final key, but it was the most important key to the game. And we couldn't have started any slower if we spotted the Bills 21 points. Oh, wait. We did spot the Bills 21 points. I mean, it was a comedy of errors early in the football game. Obviously, the Bills start out rough. The defense gets a couple of great stops on the first and second down. The Bills jump false start on 3rd and 10. It's 3rd and 15. And we give up like 18. Like, are you effing kidding me? Again? Seriously? That's our move, though. And then it just took off from there. But we're talking about the offense. So the defense gives it up, right? We are used to that now. We're accustomed to the defense giving up a touchdown to start off the game. That's customary. It's like almost like the coin toss. You expect it to happen. Just how is it going to happen? Is it going to be 13 plays that takes up 6 minutes of the first quarter clock? Is it going to be bing, bang, boom? Is it going to be 5 plays in short order? Are you going to have 6? Are you going to have 3 third downs in a possession? Or are you only going to have 1? Are they going to get a first down on first down, a first down on second down, and you only hit 1 third down on the entire drive? Like, that's the only thing that we really are determining as to how we're going to give up the 7. It's not if we're giving up 7, it's how we're going to give up the 7 on the opening drive. So if you're the offense, you have to come out thinking we got to score. Whether we get it first or we get it after, the only difference if you're the offense in your mindset is either we're down 7-0 already because they got it first, or we get it first and we need to score so we have a chance to be ahead because the defense is giving up 7 anyway. How you want to do it? So we get the football down 7-0 because we won the toss and we deferred, which is the right thing to do. And we already talked about the J.D. McKissick, pick on 3rd down, which resulted in an OPI and it killed that drive. That sucks. But, okay, you get past that. The defense gets the stop with the Jamin Davis 4th down tackle. and Logan Thomas fumbles the ball. And to me, that took all of the air out of the sails of the offense. It really did. The Bills, because we got the stop on the Bills, so we had settled in, and that short field where they got that fumble and then the return really put us in a tough spot because they scored the touchdown to make it 14. Then the offense went out there, threw up all over themselves again. I don't know if that might have been the interception. If not, it was 3 and out. They got it back again, and they scored another one. I want to say the interception came after the fumble. So just like that, bam, it's 21-0. Then you get the screen. Then you get the kickoff that we recover. And then you get the touchdown by Taylor Hanecke on the dive. And it's 21-14, and you're right back in the game. But you spotted them 21. And you expended so much energy to just get back down by 7 that I talk about this all the time in basketball. I always use this analogy. When you go and fall down by 21 in a basketball game, and you got 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and you make this furious comeback, and you cut the deficit to 3 with 4 minutes left in the game. You've expended so much energy to reduce that deficit from 21 to 4, to cut it down by 17 points. You've used up and expended so much energy getting stops, hustling, making the extra play, getting the rebound, the offensive rebound, making the extra pass, getting back, making that defensive switch, and helping the helper. You've done so many things to get stops and get out in transition and run that now that you finally put yourself back in a position to take the lead, tie the game, take the lead, and maybe win the game, you're exhausted. You dug yourself so big of a hole. Now that you're back in the game, you had to expend so much energy to put yourself in a position to be back in the game. Now you don't have enough to get over the hump. And that's sort of how I felt about us late in the first half. You spotted them 21 points with mistakes and follies and missed opportunities that now here you are, 21-14. You're right back in the game. The defense gets you the stop that you need. You've got the football with a chance to tie this game up or at least cut the deficit to 4 with the field goal. You get the ball after half. So who's to say you don't take the lead or cut it to 1 with another field goal, and now we got ourselves a ball game. But instead, you go 3 and out. You give it right back to the Bills, and they get a field goal before halftime. So they extend the lead out to 24-14 instead of us cutting into the lead even further. We expended so much energy to get from 21-0 to 21-14. We didn't have enough. We literally got stuck on 14 points while they scored 24. And then they scored, 27 or whatever it was. Next thing I know, I look up, it's 36-14. And then ultimately 43-14. We got stuck on 14 and we had no more energy to try to get over the hump. And honestly, it's not an energy thing when you get into the second half. But there was a moment right there at 21-14 where you had a shot, but you started so damn slow that you put yourself in a position that you should have been, if you just start normal. Let's say the Bills scored 10 points, jump out to a 10-0 lead. With everything that transpired thereafter, you score 14 unanswered, you're winning 14-10. But because we started so effing slow, they had a 21-0 lead in the second quarter. You know what I used to call that back in the day? I don't know what the young boys call it now. We used to call that the rule in Madden. You down 21-0, game's over. Get off the sticks. You can't start that slow. You can't get the rule in the second quarter and expect to come back and win a ball game. That's not how it works in the NFL. And we're not good enough to do that anyway. So, of course, we don't get any credit for that one either. So, on the offensive side, out of 5 possible points, we got a half a point. That sounds like an ass whooping to me if I've ever heard one. That sounds like you lost 43-21. You then transform and transfer over to the defensive side of the football. defense against the Buffalo Bills offense. Make the Bills' run game obsolete. And I specifically singled out Devin Singletary and Josh Allen. Those two were non-factors in the run game. So they did half of the job. Because actually, running back Zach Moss kicked our ass. So can't give them full credit for making the Bills' run game obsolete, because the two guys that I highlighted in Devin Singletary and Josh Allen really had a minimal impact on the game as runners. But Zach Moss, their backup running back, kicked our ass. Average up around 5, 6, 7 yards a pop. So you get half credit there. Make Josh Allen hold it. And then I said the buzzword of the week was plaster. Got to plaster to your receiver. Secondary has to plaster on those secondary reaction plays where he's rolling out, extending. Well, we didn't make Josh hold it very long. So that wasn't really a big deal. You get, I swear early in the game that Daron Payne got held at least 2 or 3 times. They didn't call it. That's fine. Whatever. He got pressure, though, and Ron made mention of this. We'll talk about it a little bit later on in the next segment, but it wasn't a rush that was in unison, because all Daron did was force Josh to step up. You'd like him to be stepping up into more pressure. That's how, when everyone's rushing in unison, if a guy wins and that quarterback doesn't have anywhere to step up, he's in trouble. But when you win and you get pushed around, and the other guy that should be there is 15 yards up the field, and I'm being facetious. He was probably more like 10, 11 yards up the field. Doesn't matter. All Josh has to do is slightly step up and to his right, and that buys him more than enough time to get the football where he needs to. And so we didn't make him hold it really at all. The secondary was porous. To me, this was the worst game the secondary has had. Yeah, this was way worse than the Giants game. This was worse than the Chargers game. This was a joke. The secondary was abysmal. There was zero confidence from me as a fan watching this game that we were going to get stops, and that I haven't felt this helpless as a fan watching a game defensively since 2017. I haven't felt this hopeless since 2017 as a fan defensively. And not to say that we've had great defenses in 18 or 19, or even 20 for that matter. It was much improved in 20, but 17 was the last time zero confidence. Every time, it didn't matter how long the down and distance was, they were going to pick it up. It could be 3rd and 23, and I'm not comfortable. I'm thinking they're going to get 24. So I'm back to that mindset until they change it, until otherwise notified. I'm back to that mindset of, well, they're going to pick it up. And in this particular game, they didn't make Josh Allen hold the ball at all. And the only time he held it is when he wanted to hold it, not because we did anything to make him hold on to the ball. So that was really frustrating. Obviously, that you get no credit for that one. Nothing cheap, nothing deep. Make them earn it. That's a weekly motto and slogan of mine, because you just don't want to give up big plays. You want teams to earn it. You feel like something's going to go awry on a drive. Maybe you force the issue. Something could go wrong with a penalty, and it could derail the drive quickly, and that's what you're hoping for. With this defense, it really doesn't matter, if it's, a penalty on 3rd and 6 for holding, and now it's 3rd and 16. I still think they're going to get 18, so what difference does it make? It's got to be like 3rd and 30 for me to be like, okay, there's no way they're picking this up, unless we decide to go pass interference, which I wouldn't be shocked if that happens, because we have our fair share of pass interferences and illegal contacts and holdings that offer up automatic first downs on 3rd downs in just about every game as well. So we're a garden variety defense in terms of giving it up, and you can get it however you want it. Penalty, big gain, chunk play, just enough. On 3rd and 4, you get 5. Whatever it is, you'll find a way to convert against this defense. So nothing cheap, nothing deep. They had one 40-yard play to Emmanuel Sanders, a 41-yard pass over the top. Outside of that, we pretty much kept everything in front of us, but they had their fair share of chunks, 23 and 16 and 17. But it was a steady diet of Josh Allen dissecting this defense and doing whatever the hell it was he wanted to do. The Dawson Knox touchdown had to be from every bit of, maybe 19 yards out or so, maybe 21, something like that. Was there a push off? You're damn right there was. Did they call it? No, and that's fine. I'm not going to cry over spilt milk. Okay? At the end of the day, how about we not let them get in a position to make that play? How about we get pressure on Josh Allen and not let him have time to let his tight end run 20 yards down the field, push off the linebacker, and make the catch? So I'm giving us half credit for that one. We didn't give up too many big plays. We did give up one, but it wasn't, grand scheme of things, it is what it is. We can give up a whole bunch of them, but we just couldn't stop them. Whatever they wanted, they could take it underneath and over the middle of the football field. Really, where they did the most of their damage was the intermediate range from, anywhere from 12 to probably like 18 to 20 yards. They absolutely shredded us in that area of the field, and we had no answers. Create game-changing opportunities. I talked about the Bills having fumbled 6 times in the first 2 weeks and losing 2 of those 6 fumbles and having a punt blocked for a touchdown. There were opportunities here to be created. Their quarterback, Josh Allen, had thrown an interception last game, and so there were opportunities here that I thought we may be able to create something. I don't know why I think we're going to create anything. This is the same defense last year that failed to really generate any turnovers, and we're the same defense this year. We don't generate turnovers. In 3 games, we've generated 1 whole turnover, or 2 turnovers, both of them coming in the same game against the Chargers. We generated no turnovers last week against the Giants. We generated no turnovers in this game, and the one opportunity that we did create, which is why I'm giving them half credit, came from the special teams with the Dustin Hopkins pop-up kick that he actually recovered to give us a possession. And that's not actually deemed a turnover because the definition of a turnover includes a team actually possessing the football and then turning it over to the other team, okay? Whether it be via fumble or interception, you have to first possess the football to then give it away. They never had it, so the NFL doesn't classify that pop-up kick as a turnover. Just like when you kick an onside kick and recover, that's not a turnover. That's a special teams mistake or gaffe on their part, but it's a special teams play on the part of the team that recovers the kick. It's not classified as a turnover, and that makes sense. So technically, we didn't generate a turnover, but that wasn't the name of the category. That wasn't the name of the key to the game. It was create game-changing opportunities, and we did that with the pop-up kick. But there were also other game-changing opportunities that were missed by this defense, and those are backbreakers. I talked about, creating some opportunities. We didn't force any fumbles. I don't think they put it on the floor not one time, which this Bills team has been fumbling the football left and right the first 2 weeks of the season. No such issues in this game because I told you our dogs don't hunt that way. We don't force fumbles. Okay, we don't look for the punch out like their cornerback Tre'Davious White did. Like that wasn't Logan Thomas being loosey-goosey with the ball, or a guy puts a helmet right on the arm and it pops the ball out, or a guy puts his helmet right on the ball and they had no choice but to come out. He literally went seeking for the punch, the peanut punch, and he poked the football free. We don't do that. We don't have. The last guy we had on our team that had that mentality was Josh Norman. Nobody on our team looks to punch the football out. We want to be physical and we want to make hard tackles and then we want to get up and flex. But you know what? They just picked up 7, dum-dum. So that's the problem I have is that our dogs think that they really doing something, but they're not doing anything at all because the most important thing is the rock. You can do all the barking and you want. You can stand up and flex and beat your chest and all of that nonsense. If they still got the rock, they still got another opportunity to make a play on your ass. And that's what they do. It could be 3rd and 15, and that's another missed opportunity. Very first possession of the game. You have a golden opportunity to get off the field, set the tone for the ball game, and actually start fast, something we haven't been able to do all season long, and you give up 3rd and 15. We're down 21-14. And Josh Allen probably made his worst decision of the game. Probably made his worst throw of the game. Puts it a little bit out behind, I think it was his tight end. Dawson Knox on the 3rd down on a shallow cross. He gets hit immediately. Ball caroms into the air. Here comes Kendall Fuller. Opportunity to make a game-changing play. Here's a game-changing opportunity right in your lap. He's stumbling, bumbling, can't really pull the ball in. Ball comes out and is incomplete. Instead of having a short field, the Bills end up downing the punt at I don't know, maybe the 8 or so. Even or we fair caught it, whatever. Long story short, I talk about this all the time. We always have to start from the 8, the 12, the 19, the 20, the 25. All of our drives have to go the length of the field. We rarely get short fields to operate in. Defense did create one, which is part of the reason why they get half credit with the Jamin Davis stop. That did create a shorter field, great field position. The offense squandered it with a turnover and giving it right back. But they did their job that time. But there was an opportunity right there at 21-14 to really, Uncle Mo had came all the way across the field. He was on our sideline. We were trying to convince him to have a seat and get cozy. He was like, I don't know if I should get comfortable on your sideline. You know, I'm not sure you're going to score many more points. It's like, Uncle Mo, trust us. Here, have a seat. We got a nice, comfy, cozy recliner over here for you. And we'll have our equipment manager, hey, go get him something to drink and some chips. And so, come on, sit down. Sit right here. And when Kendall Fuller dropped that pick, Uncle Mo got out of that recliner. He declined the Gatorade and the chips that we had went and got him. And he started to walk back towards the sidelines. And Josh Allen got the football, and he moseyed right back on over to their sideline. They get the field goal before the half, and he never came back. He never came back. He got really comfortable on their sideline and said, this is more like it. That was the opportunity that I thought we had that we squandered. At 21-14, Kendall Fuller makes that pick. It changes the entire complexity of the game. We had all the momentum at that time. A short field would have done us wonders right there. And if he catches it cleanly, I think he scores. But that's nor here nor there. I wasn't begging for the pick 6. I wasn't begging for the residential call. I wanted him to just pick it off. It would have been nice if he would have made a residence call. I just wanted him to pick it off. Ball at our own 40 or 45. Wouldn't it be nice? That opportunity went by the wayside. They punt the ball. They pin us deep. Now we have to drive the length of the field. We go 3 and out. They get it back, and they go and they score. I don't know if we went 3 and out. Maybe we got a first down or 2. Doesn't matter. We punted the ball, and I think we ended up punting with, 40 seconds left, and we let Josh Allen and the Bills get in the field goal range. It probably was like a minute and something left. Whatever the case may be. They got a field goal. And who didn't think they were going to get a field goal before the halftime break? So, no, we get half credit for creating game-changing opportunities. The special teams did it once, and the defense did it once. But there were so many more opportunities in that game for them to really set the tone. If we get a 3 and out on the opening possession, we're going to get some solid field position. They were pinned deep in their own territory. After the false start penalty, they started at the 25. They went backwards 5 yards. They incomplete that pass. They're punting from their own 20. The punter is literally inside his own 5 punting the football. You're going to get the football somewhere out around the 30, 35, maybe 40-yard line. But we don't know nothing about that because we don't force 3 and outs, especially at the beginning of the game. They would ultimately go on to score a touchdown on that possession, as always, per usual. And then start fast. I just explained why we didn't start fast, so I don't need to beat that horse. It's long dead. The defense did give us an opportunity on the second possession to at least start faster than what it ultimately turned out to be. the offense made it really tough on the defense by not only turning it over. It's one thing to go 3-and-out and punting the football. It's another thing to turn it over and the defense come on the field and they're already in, their own territory. They're already in Washington territory, or the Bills. Like, that's tough. If you're a good defense, you can stop the bleeding. We're not a good defense right now. So we're hemorrhaging blood. All right. And so when you are in the position that we are in, you can't stop the bleeding. And we did the opposite of start fast on both sides of the football, honestly. So on this side, we got 1.5 out of 5. So out of a total of 10 possible points, we got 2 points. I'd say that equals up to 43-21. I think that sounds about right. If you enjoy this content, take this moment to do me a huge favor and hit the like button. Greatly appreciate you for all that you do for the Louie T Network. Please hit that like button. Subscribe to the Louie T Network for more great content if you haven't already done so. And also turn on that notification bell. So we go to our next segment, in other news. And Ron Rivera, I always like to hear his Monday morning pressers, almost like the State of the Union address, essentially, for the team. He's had a chance to watch the film. You've had 24 hours to kind of decompress and internalize what you saw and make sense of it. So I'm going to keep it a buck with y'all right now. I woke up this morning hoping I would feel differently about the ass thrashing that we received yesterday at 1:05 p.m. by the Buffalo Bills. And I woke up today feeling pretty much the same. But the one thing I did go to sleep feeling good about was watching the pressers of the players, but more specifically Ron Rivera. And he sounded somewhat agitated about the players, and he sounded like a guy that was going to start holding some of these players accountable for, not doing the things that they coached them to do. And he's like, what my biggest fear is that when I turn on the tape, and he hadn't turned it on yet, but when I turn on the tape, I'm going to see guys making the same mistakes that we made in the first 2 weeks that we've coached and corrected already, and they're making the same mistakes. And that's really problematic, he said, essentially. And I remember last year one of his things was, I love these guys, I love this team because we don't make the same mistakes twice. And that hasn't been the case this year. So I was, to my pleasant surprise, Ron didn't backtrack off of that statement today at his presser. I thought he would come back and, try to put a nice pretty bow on, what was an ass kicking at the hands of the Bills. And I thought he was going to try to sell us a dream. But what he essentially said was, look, they were the better team. They outplayed us. They won the game. We have to be better as coaches. And I love the fact that he acknowledged their role in it, because I don't think they're innocent in this. I've already said that there's too much talent on this team to not be successful. And he acknowledged the fact that this is a really talented team. But he's like, if they're not doing what we coached them to do, it doesn't matter how talented we are, we're going to struggle. Facts. If you feel that way, then you let the team know either you do it our way or we have to get someone else in there that will do it our way. So he said, yeah, us as coaches, we have to be better. We got to put guys in better positions to succeed. I said the exact same thing verbatim on the show yesterday, the overtime show. We have to, they as coaches have to put players in better positions to succeed. I don't think they're doing that right now. That's part of the conversation around Taylor Hanecke and getting him out of the pocket and things of that nature, and finding ways to get guys in better situations that are advantageous for not only them but the team as a whole. I don't think they're doing that, especially on the defensive side of the football. So he acknowledged that. He said that Chase had a high pressure rate, which I saw the numbers. I got to watch the tape. Numbers don't do anything for me. You know how I feel about PFF and a whole bunch of analytics and throwing numbers. That's cool. I need to see the actual play on the field match the numbers. I can tell you that I saw Chase win several times, but Josh Allen got it out. It didn't matter. I saw Daron Payne win, and Ron said, look, one of the biggest problems we're having right now is we're not rushing in unison. And he cited the Daron Payne wins early in the game. And he said Daron would win, but, the end on that side, he didn't want to name any names. He's talking about Chase Young. The guy on the end on that side is up the field, which I acknowledged yesterday. I'm like, what difference does it make if Daron Payne wins and flashes across Josh Allen's face and forces him to step up? If you're rushing in unison when he steps up, somebody's going to be there to corral his ass and make him feel like I got a ball up in the fetal position because I'm about to get engulfed. But instead, Chase Young is 10 yards up the field because he's gotten pushed around the pocket. And here comes Daron Payne flying across. All he's got to do is step up and slightly move to his right because there's no Chase Young there. And now he's got a clear open lane to get the football to one of his receivers. So he's like, yeah, we got to rush in unison with one another. We're not rushing as a group. It's counterproductive right now. He talked about the safeties. He loves the safeties and the way they played. And he says we got a really good mixture and group there with Landon Collins, Bobby McCain, and Cameron Curl. I guess I got to watch the film, but you know how I feel about Landon Collins right now. I did think Landon had a couple of really solid tackles up around the line of scrimmage, which is what Ron acknowledged. But, there's more than just coming up and being a box safety to playing the safety position than that. So at the end of the day, he talked about the coaches needing to, maybe call better plays and do certain things that maybe help out the team. But he also talked about the maturity, and this is like the third time we've heard maturity brought up with this team. Because we're young, and we talked about that all last year, how young of a football team we were. And that hasn't changed. We're a young football team. And Ron talked about how this team would handle the success of winning the division and how the team would respond to some of the things that they want to do defensively, offensively, and would they do the right things? And it's more so with the defense than the offense because the offense is more of a veteran group, honestly speaking. You got Terry, who's been in the league, and Terry carries himself like a 10-year pro anyway. But you got Adam Humphries, who's a veteran in this league. You have the entire offensive line with the exception of Samuel Cosme. All those guys are 5+ years in the league. You know what I mean? Like, it's a veteran group on the offensive line. And, obviously you had Ryan Fitzpatrick, who was a veteran, leading that group, but now it's Taylor Hanecke. So, the backfield is relatively young with Hanecke and Gibson, but Logan Thomas has been in the league for a while now. So the offense is a good mixture of veterans and young guys. The defense is where all of the youth really resides. Outside of McCain, who wasn't here last year, William Jackson III, who wasn't here last year, Kendall Fuller, and John Bostic, you're talking about guys that are all essentially on their rookie contracts, all of them, So, and with the exception of Matt Ioannidis, but he's not a starter. But if you want to throw my Ioannidis in there, go ahead and be my guest. But everybody else is on their rookie contract. All these guys are youngins, and for most of them, they're only in year 2 of this Jack Del Rio defensive scheme. For some, it's their first year. William Jackson III, first year. Bobby McCain, first year. Jamin Davis, first year. So for some guys, Benjamin St. Juste, first year. Torrey McTyer, first year. Like, for a lot of these guys, it's their first year in this scheme. So, they're still trying to figure things out. It's early. Ron said, look, we're still trying to figure some things out, man. It's early in the season. And he's right about that. But he's like, the most frustrating thing is our inability to get stops on third down. And we have to, make some corrections. We got to figure some things out. So that was encouraging to hear him pretty much say, we're going to hold these players accountable. They have to do things the way that we coach them to do it. And he said, they're trying to do too much because they want to win. But at the same time, them trying to do too much is counterproductive. So he can't keep giving them excuses. He's got to light into their ass. I think he did today. I really feel like, they came in to watch film, and I think he gave them some work today. So I wouldn't be shocked or surprised if he lit into the team today and pretty much told them, get your mind right. Get your damn mind right. When y'all come in here for practice on Wednesday, get your damn mind right and come in here ready to work and do things the right way. And hopefully that was a wake-up call. When you get your ass spanked like that, and Ron said, look, when you play this game long enough, you can get your ass spanked like that. But when you get your ass spanked like that, it's supposed to serve as motivation. No one ever wants to lose like this to be motivated. I don't need to get my ass kicked for me to figure out that I need to play better. Much rather find that out in a close loss than an ass whooping like this. But it happened. And I'm hoping that these guys wake up and understand that they don't get their act together. This season could be over a lot sooner than later. This is a key stretch coming up here. Against Atlanta, in New Orleans, in Kansas City, in Green Bay. If you don't win the next two games, or at least one of the next two games, your season is effectively over because you're not going to beat the Chiefs more likely than not at home, and you damn sure aren't going to Green Bay. After this road performance we just had, you're damn sure not going on the road and beating Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. So if you don't win the next two, or at least one out of the next two, you're effectively at that point 1-6. Your season is over. I don't think this division is going to be as bad as it was last year. The Cowboys with Dak Prescott aren't going to allow it. The Giants may stink. The Eagles may ultimately stink as well. But the Cowboys are not going to stink. Not with Dak Prescott at quarterback. They'll win more than enough games to beat out 7-10 or 6-11 or whatever garbage record you think might be good enough to get it done. And I know none of you guys and gals out there want this division won at 7-10 again. Nobody wants that. If they want to have a season where those final 5 weeks against NFC East opponents matter, this next stretch is going to go a long way in helping determine that. So they better pick themselves up, dust themselves off, and get ready for a road showdown with the Atlanta Falcons, who have the exact same record. As much as we want to look down on the Falcons, oh, they're trash, we better beat them. They got the same exact record as we do. Same shit. The winner of that game will be back to 500. It could easily be them. If we come out and play the same way we just played against Buffalo, it will be the Falcons. So the last thing I want to mention is we pretty much came out of the game no worse for wear in terms of injuries, which is a good thing. I'll go ahead and knock on some more wood again. We've been really good with injuries these first 3 weeks. Hopefully it continues to stay that way. Brandon Sheriff had a bit of a spill on the sidelines. It was a bit of a scare. He left the field right before halftime. Ron essentially confirmed what we were told by various media sources, which was he just got the wind knocked out of him. But they wanted to make sure he didn't crack a rib or nothing crazy happened. And so they went in, gave him some x-rays, checked him out. Everything looked good. That's why he was back on the field after halftime. And he's fine moving forward. That's the belief. We'll see if he shows up on the injury report or not. Antonio Gibson, you saw that they cut back his load when J.D. McKissic started the game. So I think they were more comfortable with J.D. starting because J.D. took the bulk of the reps in practice this week. So we'll see if he came back feeling solid and no worse for wear as well. But the bigger news this week, and that we'll be really paying attention to starting with Wednesday, is now all of those guys you put on IR to start the season are eligible to come off of IR, including Curtis Samuel and rookie safety Derek Forrest. So now the question is, are those guys healthy enough to be activated? And what do you do roster-wise? If you're bringing both of those guys back, someone has to be cut because we got 52 on the roster. To bring both of those guys back, you'd need to free up one more roster spot to accommodate. If you're just bringing back one of them, then that roster spot is already open. But, we really don't care about Derek Forrest, okay? He's not going to be contributing in a major way other than special teams. We're more concerned with the health of one Curtis Samuel. And we will be on the edge of our seats all week long, kind of following his progress and seeing if they feel like he is in a position to be activated off of the practice squad. Much like last year we saw with Cole Holcomb, they don't have to rush that process. Remember, with Cole, they didn't activate him until the end of the week. I want to say it was like Saturday before the game they activated him. So we're not going to know if he's activated or not. They don't have to activate him. They don't have to do anything up until Saturday. And so I'm just hoping that we don't hear about a setback like we did last time. So that's going to be something to monitor, because we could definitely use Curtis Samuel back in the saddle offensively, because right now a lot of the onus is falling in the lap of Terry, just like it was last year. And it's not a good look for this offense right now. So we'll see what happens. But that's pretty much it for today's show. Really disappointed in the outcome of the game, but it only counts for one loss. And unlike some of you out there, I won't say a lot of you, it's not all of you, it's just a small portion of the fan base. We won't win another game. We're going to be 1-16. We're going to be 3-14. I've gotten, hey, what should we get in the first round? We'll have a top 5 pick. I've gotten all of that already after just 2 losses this season. Gotta love this fan base, man. But like I said, I don't respond to that anymore, because I know that's what a lot of you do. You overreact. But we have a great opportunity to get back in the win column this week. And Ron talked about this last night after the game. He said, we're going to find out what kind of team we are and what kind of resolve we have by how we bounce back. And that should be the message, how we bounce back. It'll be important to see how they bounce back. If they fall into the trap of woe is me and start finger pointing, then the immaturity will show, and this season will unravel right before our very eyes. But if this team responds like I expect them to respond, because of the coaching staff, because of Ron Rivera and Jack Del Rio and the veterans there that have done this before for many years, they will get these guys to see the bigger picture. They will get these guys to understand that Buffalo game only counted as one, and now we have a great opportunity to get back in the left-hand column and get this record back to 2-2. And again, you don't want to pay too much attention to the division, but somebody's going to be 2-1 after tonight's game. But they could easily lose next week and be 2-2. And you could be back in first place with the win over the Falcons. So everything you want, it's early in the season, but everything you want is still right in front of you. If you're this team, and Ron has to remind them of that, and if he does a good enough job of that, I think they come out, play inspired football, and are able to get back in the left-hand column. We'll see what happens. This is a big week. You can't beat the Falcons, and I hate to talk about the Falcons as if we're much better than them, because we're not. But we won the division, even though it was a bad division, and we didn't go 3-13 like the Falcons did last year, or whatever they went, 4-12, whatever the hell their record was. We went 7-9. We need to find a way to beat the Atlanta Falcons. Point blank, end of discussion. So that's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on Washington Football Nightly. I am a Washington fan, etched in burgundy and gold. My Washington spirit will never die. Washington spirit will never fold. Until we meet again, hail to our beloved Washington football team. If you're a member of the MOBB, kick it with me tonight. We'll watch the Cowboys and Eagles game together, and then we will be live afterwards for Monday Night Football overtime. Should be a good one. Just want to see these two teams beat the shit out of one another, and hopefully at the end it's a tie. That's the best outcome, but it's not going to happen. But the best case scenario for us would probably be that the Eagles win, but I don't really care who wins, to be honest with you. I really don't give a shit. Just want these two teams to beat the hell out of one another. So that'll do it for me. I'll see you guys tomorrow on the show. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the Louie T Network for more great content. Turn on your notification bell so you don't miss a thing. And also hit the like button, as that helps this channel grow exponentially. Until next time, you guys have a good one.
Here comes the diesel. Here comes the diesel. There's the snap, hand to Riggins. Good hold. He's got the first down to the 40. He's gone. The 35, the 30, the 20.